Hi everyone, me again. Today is assignment number 10 of distance learning. And guess what? It's solving using the quadratic formula. And so you've already done this with simplifying the answer to the nearest decimal, so nearest tenth, hundredth, thousandth. But now, because we're in the radicals unit, you're going to be simplifying to the using the simplest radical form. I'm stumbling over my words because I'm so excited that we get to sing the song together. I know that there's going to be a few of you that are going to sing louder than others, and some of you who will just chuckle as I sing. So everyone, don't forget, this formula does not need to be memorized. It is on that obscenely bright, colorful sheet that I've given you. Have you lost it again? I know a lot of you have 2 copies somewhere. All right, let's do this. You ready? Clear your throats. X equals negative b plus or minus square root b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. All right. So enough of the foolery. Let's get down to business here. It's the same thing, guys. Whenever you solve quadratic equations, make sure the equation's equal to 0, no matter what process you're using, whether you're factoring, solving using the quadratic formula, or completing the square, make sure the equation's equal to 0. So let's do this. In order to set this equal to 0, I subtract 3 on both sides. So don't forget the order of which you write these is the squared goes on the left, the x goes in the middle, and the constant goes on the right. So your a value is 1. Nothing is there, it's 1. The b value is -4, and the c value is -3. You carry the subtraction sign as the negative signs. So x equals -4 plus or minus the square root of -4 squared minus 4 times 1 times -3 all over 2 times 1. So everyone remember, are you remembering that this is the only thing? Yes, I'm using a Crayola crayon, color indigo. Yeah, I am sitting at my daughter's desk. It's the most quiet place in the house when the children are playing. Oh, there's my seltzer. See, nothing's changed, people. I just have seltzer in a unicorn cup, just not a huge, ginormous bottle. When the children are watching their TV, that's when I do my fantastic videos. So like I was saying, this guy under the radical is the only thing that you put in the calculator, parentheses and all. So you having flashbacks? It's going to be parentheses -4 squared minus 4 parentheses 1 parentheses -3. I know a lot of you do this mentally. Just throw it in the calculator. Let the calculator do the work for you. So all of that stuff is just going to be the square root of 28. Do not type in the square root. I know there's a few of you who did that because it's so tempting to, but don't do it. So it turns out to be +4, because of negative, plus or minus, this is where the 28 goes, divided by 2. So way back when, we put this in the calculator, but we're not doing that anymore. What we're doing is we're thinking about the largest perfect square root that divides into 28. So that's why I spent so much time on simplifying radicals, because it just keeps coming back. The largest perfect square root that divides into 28 is, that's right, 4. 4 times 7 is 28. So then this becomes simplified as a 2. The square root 7 is prime. Beautiful. So if you guys would notice, these 3 numbers are whole numbers. Do you remember the triangle trick? The triangle trick is put a triangle around the numbers on the outside. If all 3 can be divided by the same number, then simplify. If only two of them can be simplified, don't do it. So 2 divides into all 3 of them. So you get 2 plus or minus 1, radical 7 divided by 1. No, you do not have to put the ones there. I miss you guys. I miss hearing all these questions. Hope that today's a good day. So technically your final answer can be left like that, or you can just simplify and say this. Okay. We're not going to work on number 2 together. You can do that one independently. The next one we're going to work on together is example 3. So please remember all quadratic equations have to be set equal to 0 to solve. No matter what process the Mrs. Ludwig process is, set them all to 0. So minus 7 on both sides. The x goes in the middle, the 7 goes at the end. So now you have to identify your a, b, and c. Your a is the number in front of x squared. Your b is the number in front of x, which in this case is -1. And your c is -7. It's that constant, that number that doesn't have a variable. And now we get to use the formula. So x equals -1 plus or minus b squared, the square root of b squared minus 4 times a times c all over 2 times 2. Okay. So x equals 1 plus or minus this whole thing in the calculator. So how about I use a different color? I use green. Oh, we have all different kinds of crayons here, people. We are art supply city here at the Ludwigs. So that, only that I've put in the green goes in the calculator. So -1 squared minus 4 times 2 times -7. All right, so that gives me 57. That is the only thing that goes under the radical. Hey guys, 57 is a prime square root. How fantastic is that? We're done. We don't have to simplify anything. So sometimes that will happen, and embrace it. That's it. All right. The next problem, I do want to work on number 4 with you. Sorry, I'm just trying to erase something. Thanks, guys. All right. So now we're getting a bit more specific. Not only should you express your answer in simplest radical form, but state the negative root. Okay. So if you guys would notice, this equation is equal to -5. So I want to add the 5 to the other side to make it equal to 0. Again, the squared term goes on the left, the x term goes in the middle, the c, the constant, goes on the right. A is -3, b is 6, c is 5, a, b, c. So then you get to use your quadratic formula. X equals -b plus or minus the square root b squared minus 4ac all over 2 times a. So here's the thing. Are you noticing we've done a few problems now? I am not using the variables. I am not using x in here. The only things I am putting into the quadratic formula, into this thing, right here, the only thing that goes into this is the numbers. No variables, okay? So now that I've substituted all the values, I'm going to type in only what's in the orange. Okay, so that's the only thing that's going in. So 6 squared minus 4 times -3 times 5, parentheses, everything, gives me 96. Okay, so just 96 goes there. 96 is not prime. There is a perfect square root that divides into that. So you have to go through the perfect square roots. So why don't we do this together? The first one I'm thinking of is 4. All right, but here's the thing. 24 is not prime, so we're looking for the largest number. So 96, I'm thinking even numbers here. So the next one would be 9, 9's odd, 16 maybe? Ooh, that works. Check it out. 16 divides into 96 6 times. 6 is prime, so we've got it. So what that means is x equals -6 plus or minus 16 times 6 divided by -6. That's a lot of sixes. If you're wondering what I'm leaning on, yes, it is a Fancy Nancy coloring book. We love Fancy Nancy here. Okay, so the square root of 16 simplifies to 4. 6 is all over the place here. This does not become a 2. All right? It becomes simplified once, and then you're done. Done. So this is the point where you do the triangle trick, as I call it, just like you did here. Draw a triangle around all 3 numbers on the outside. That was number 1. Draw a triangle around all 3 numbers in number 2. I'm drawing a triangle around all 3 numbers. There is a number that divides into all 3, and yes, you're right, it's 2. So 2 divides into 6 3 times, into 4 twice. So that's our final answer. Some students actually do not like a negative in the denominator. You guys are funny. So divide through. So this would be -3. Sorry, everyone. It's getting hard towards the end for me to write here. So it's going to be +3 plus or minus -2. The square root of 6 is not affected because these are the like terms, divided by +3. Let me just write this down. I mean, guys, it's just an extra step that's not necessary, so you can just take that one. Okay. Good times. So we've done a few problems here. Again, stop the video as often as you need. Go back, listen to it again. I'd like to do another one with you guys. We're going to skip number 5. I have it done here, though. Oh, excuse me. Hello. Excuse me, number 4 said state the negative root. So we only want the negative answer. Why don't we go to this one here? We'll ignore that other one. -3 plus or minus 2 radical 6 divided by -3. I hope everyone is noticing which one's the negative, but if you don't know which one's the negative, we'll do it together. So we have -3. I always start with the plus one. Sorry, guys. Parentheses, -3 plus 2 square root 6 divided by -3. That is the one that gives me my negative. And hopefully you guys were noticing that would have been the case. If you couldn't figure that out, who cares? Just do the other one. Remember my trick, second enter, and then that is the only thing that gets changed. And then check it out, that's the positive value. So basically what you want to do is, I mean, I already boxed it in, but your final answer, just make a note that your answer is -3 plus 2 square root 6 all over -3. So check this out. That is the only one that's your answer. You're not taking the negative. Okay. So then, sorry for that, what is the positive root of this guy? So the positive root, oh, check it out. This one's nicely arranged for us. It's already equal to 0. A is 2, B is negative 1. If nothing is there, don't forget it is a 1. And C is a negative 14. So x equals negative negative 1 plus or minus the square root b squared minus 4ac all over 2 times 2. All right, so type only. What color is going to show up? Whatever this is this this is purple. Only type this part in the calculator, the part under the radical. So I feel like I messed this up. I totally did. Negative 1 squared minus 4 times 2 times negative 14, which gives me 113. So this is going to be a negative negative 1, which is positive, plus or minus the square root of 113 divided by 4. 113 is prime. So this works out nice for us. So right now, I'm going to type in this. I'm going to do the positive. Hitting enter, that gives me the positive value. So my answer is 1 plus the square root of 113 divided by 4 because we want the positive root. Remember, root is a fancy way of saying solution. Okay, and then the last one. I did want to do one more with you guys, if you got the gist of it. You can just move on, try the homework. Just make sure for the homework you really do it nice and slow. Make sure that you set it equal to 0. Make sure that you identify your A, B, and C values, and make sure you do my triangle trick. It really is very helpful. All right, last problem. It's set equal to 0, so we're good to go. A, B, and C, A is 1, goes with the x squared, B goes with the x, C goes with the 3. So x equals negative negative 8 plus or minus the square root of B squared minus 4AC all over 2 times 1. So typing this in the calculator, I'm getting 52. Making sure I typed that correctly. I did. So I'm getting 8 because the double negative gives me a positive. The square root of 52 divided by 2. The square root of 52. 4 is the largest perfect square root that divides into that because it divides 13 times, and 13 is a prime root. Prime meaning it can't be simplified anymore. So with that said, x equals 8 plus or minus the square root of 4 times the square root of 13 divided by 5. The square root of 4 is 2. Check it out. I'm circling. Listen to me. I'm putting a triangle around the outside numbers, the whole numbers, and there is no number that divides into all 3 of them. Check it out. Only 2 divides into the first 2. Don't do it. Can't be done. So this is an acceptable final answer. Done. All right, guys. Number 7, excuse me, that was number 7. Numbers 8 and 9, do on your own if you need the extra practice. I have the answer key here. It's uploaded to the website. And at any point, and I'm sure your head is spinning, it always takes a few examples to really sink in. Message me, email me, let me know what I can do to clarify anything. Take care. Miss you, and stay well. Bye, guys.